Hello and welcome to Instructor Video 8. It is Wednesday, March 25th, and welcome back to our online class. I haven't seen you guys in over a week now, over 2 weeks, what am I saying? I hope you had a lovely spring break. I had a great time in Tampa, Florida, gallivanting with all of the writing and rhetoric geeks in my field, and our presentation went well. And it was like 75, 80 degrees, so that was pretty sweet. I got full night's sleep because the baby wasn't with me, so that was pretty awesome. So I missed him. But I hope you guys had an equally lovely spring break and that you got some rest and sun if you went somewhere nice. So sorry about yesterday. I got all ready to come out to school and my son started projectile vomiting and would not stop. So I had to take him to the doctor. He's fine now. It passed, thank goodness. I was thinking I need to get a much thicker skin if I'm going to handle this for the next 18 years. But I had to cancel class because I had to go to the doctor with him. And thank you for being patient with me. Sakai was giving me major headaches yesterday. But anyway, so by 11 o'clock last night, you should have uploaded, should have taken the grub quiz, which was, first of all, 20 minutes, but the first people who took it got kicked off, and it seemed to be too short, so I extended that to 30 minutes. At least I thought I did, and then I didn't, and then I did extend it later because Sakai messed up. So if you, for some reason, took the quiz and it bumped you off at 20 minutes, email me and let me know, and I can let you retake it. I'll just check to make sure that you, in fact, did take 20 minutes because it tells me how long you took the quiz for. But some people finished it before 20 minutes, and that was enough time. So let me know if you'd like more time, but do that today because I'm going to not open it anymore after today. So that'll be your last chance. Also, last night, you should have posted the workshop draft, which is basically your first draft of your investigative report about an issue that some particular audience lacks information about by 11 p.m. last night. And by 11 p.m. tonight, you're going to do a peer review. Now, we were supposed to do all that in class, so we didn't get a chance to do that. But the peer review is different from the past peer reviews you've done. I actually gave you directions on a Word document, so I'm having you highlight specific things in the paper. So it's a little bit different from the peer reviews you've done in the past out of the Harb Race Guide. But the questions are kind of similar. You don't have to write a letter at the end like you usually do. You just have to do marginal comments using track changes and insert comment. So, each one will probably take you 20 minutes or so. So leave yourself time to do that and make sure those are posted by 11 o'clock tonight. I will grade those peer reviews. I will grade the quiz, but also in order to be counted present for the class, you have to complete all of that stuff by 11 tonight. So it also counts as an absence or a present. So make sure you do those. Email me if you have any problems or conflicts. So I have changed the instructor draft due date. It was originally due Friday by 11 p.m., but I would like you to have a few more days on it. So I moved it to Sunday night at 11 p.m. So you have a few more days to look at what your peers said about your workshop draft and make changes based on those suggestions from your peers, as well as what I'm going to tell you in a few minutes. And then submit an instructor draft of your Project 3 investigative report and the reviewer memo by 11 o'clock on Sunday night on assignments. The assignment will not appear on Sakai until tomorrow at 11 a.m. because I want to give you time to review what your peers have, the feedback they've given you before you actually submit it. So take some time to revise. Remember, your e-portfolio, which is, going to be due in just over a month, you're going to need to show progress on your draft. So you are turning in a final draft on your electronic portfolio, but that's 10% of your grade, your final draft. But it's another 10% is the progress you show me. So you're going to be showing me like what you did for a brainstorm in class, maybe some notes on a little napkin or whatever. And you're going to take a picture of that and put it on your e-portfolio. Next, you may have the first introduction that you wrote for your workshop draft and the comments that your peers gave you about maybe changing that. And you're going to screenshot that and put that up and talk to me about what you ended up changing in your instructor draft, which you handed to me. And you'll have another screenshot of that or something that I commented on your instructor draft about. And then you're going to show me how you change that into your final. So that progress is really important. So you don't want to skip any of these steps. I'm trying to show you that writing really is a process, and it takes time, it takes effort. Nobody ever produces great first drafts, ever. So by taking this time, I'm hoping that you'll come to understand how writing does take time. Okay, so for your instructor draft, I have a few things I really want you to focus on when I get that next draft from you. First of all, take your peer comments to improve that first draft. Keep track of the changes that they tell you to make, because that'll be part of your progress and evidence in your final ePortfolio. Also, use the GRUB investigative report that I had you guys read for homework about bug eating, and use the Red Bull study sample report in your Harbrace guide as a sample in the mode of, this is the mode of alphabetic text. Of course, these are written essays, basically. But that mode, that Red Bull essay report we talked about in class about Red Bull on campus. And, that's a great example of an investigative report. So use that as a sample. Just a reminder about modes. Some of you have not quite gotten the grasp of what a mode is, but in my world and in my research, I'm interested in multimodal compositions. So compositions that are created in many modes. And by mode, I mean text, like text. This is alphabetic text mode. But a mode can also be audio. A mode can be graphic or illustrations or video. So a couple of you have done audio projects, and one of you I think did a video project as well. So perhaps you have been writing all of your projects in text. That's fine. That's one mode you could use. Perhaps you'll add pictures and graphics or audio to that primarily alphabetic text project when you turn it in your ePortfolio, so you can add some modes. That might make sense. But just know what a mode is, because I want you to be able to speak clearly about it, especially when you write your reflections at the end of the semester. And what you're going to need to tell me why you chose the mode that you chose. So if you did choose to craft or compose your memoir as an audio memoir, you're going to need to tell me why that made sense, especially for your rhetorical audience. I encourage multimodal compositions in this course. I don't believe that just text is, the only way we write. Obviously, you do much more than that out in the real world. So some have already done these different modes. That's fine. And maybe you have been writing in alphabetic text, but then when you do your final project, you decide to create an audio memoir or audio profile or video profile or some mix of modes. That's fine. So just be thinking about that. Be thinking about the kinds of modes you can employ in your compositions, in your projects, and be thinking about what makes the most sense in order to reach your rhetorical audience. Okay, so that's about modes. So hopefully you understand what that means. There's a question about modes on your reviewer memo, so make sure you answer that correctly this time. A lot of you have been getting that wrong. Okay. So another thing I'd like you to think about with this instructor draft is your thesis. Hopefully your peer workshop comments, your peers are giving you feedback on what it means to write a good thesis, and make sure that your thesis statement has all the components of, a proper thesis. That includes the who, the when, the where, the why, the how, or to what extent of your issue, and the what. So like, what is your issue that you're reporting on? Why is this a timely issue right now? Who specifically are you targeting? What is the problem, and to what extent should people be concerned about this? So all of that should be in your thesis. Thesis statements can be up to 3 sentences, that's fine. But really that thesis statement will guide the whole report. So try to make your thesis statement really clear. And usually they appear in the first paragraph, but sometimes they appear in the second or even third paragraph, sometimes at the end of a paper. So try to get out of that high school mode of thinking where, the last sentence of your first paragraph has to be your thesis, and your thesis has to be one sentence long. You can play with that a little bit. You're in college now, so you can, put it in different places, make it a little longer, be creative with it. So do that. So besides thesis statements, I'd also like you to be really thinking about your sources. Remember, you're supposed to have 3 for this investigative report, and you need to make sure that you have integrated your sources into the text, if you're writing an alphabetic text, as well as have a works cited page at the end. And you need this even if you do audio or video. You'll need to somehow say where your sources came from, somewhere in the video or the audio, and you'll also need to have some kind of works cited page as a separate document if you did audio or video. If you are doing a textual project, alphabetic text, you can have your works cited page right at the end of your project. So make sure that every source you find, whether it's from a magazine, an academic article, a website, that you have in-text citations that are correct. So you have a few resources you can use. In your Harbrace guide, write this down, pages 438 to 440. There's a section, it's very short, but it's helpful. 438 to 440. There's a section here about quoting sources in your paper and how to do that. And it teaches you like how to have proper attribution, meaning like saying who this quote came from, what they said or stated or claimed, and then how to put it in quotes, and how to put page numbers in there if there are page numbers. Some websites don't have page numbers, so you would just put the title of the website, or at least the first 2 words of the title, in quotations in the parenthetical citation. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look in here and it'll help you. Also, you have in your Little Seagull Handbook, this is a great guide to keep, pages 97 to 108. There's an easy section in here also on integrating sources and how to avoid plagiarism, how to incorporate the words and ideas of others into your text. And it's just a few pages, but it really focuses on how to do that well, depending on how you do it, like how to give an attribution, where to put the punctuation, where to put the quotes, where to put the page numbers. So that's all in there. Pay special attention to page 102. There's a little word there that's highlighted called patch writing, and I'm going to be looking for this in your investigational report, because patch writing basically, and it says here, is patching together passages from another source, even if the source is documented. So basically it's like one paragraph after another, you're just taking what somebody else said and putting it into your paper, taking another source and putting it in your paper, taking another source, putting it in your paper, without any of your own voice, any of your own reflection. So a lot of students do this, especially in a freshman year. They don't trust their own voice. And so they look at the sources and they say, oh, they must be the experts. I'm just going to basically cut and paste what they're saying, and I know it'll be right, and this is how I write a paper. No. You need to take just pieces of the sources, one sentence, one phrase, one word, maybe 2 sentences at the most, to integrate into your own voice, into your own paper, to avoid patch writing. So think about that in your draft. If it seems like there are more experts that you're citing than you're writing in your own voice, you're patch writing. You're not trusting that you know something about this topic and that you can speak knowledgeably about it. In your own voice. And I want to see your own voice in this paper. You were supposed to choose a topic that you know something about. So it's important that I hear you more than I hear the experts. You can summarize them. You can explain what they're saying in your own words. But think about that. It also will depend on the audience you have too, right? Because if I want you to try and think of a localized audience, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But that localized audience, talk to them as you would if they were sitting down at the table with them. Try not to use English, that kind of stilted, stuffy language that I've talked about before. that's stinky and pretentious. Don't try to sound like someone you're not. Don't try to sound like an expert or a researcher. Just be you, the smart college student you are. I don't expect you to be any different. So write that way. Also, pages 112 to 119 in your Little Seagull Handbook, 112 to 119 have how to do in-text documentation as well in MLA format. So how to cite in text. These are just more examples of how to integrate your sources. On page 148, there is a sample. Page 148. There's a sample works cited. Wait, is that right? Sample research paper, pages 149 to 157. And at the end, there's a sample works cited page, what that looks like. Some of you may use APA or CMS, Chicago style, for your field, but because we're in the humanities field, we use MLA format, so if you would, please use that. But you should be aware that your field may have a different style, formatting style. So, and research papers for your other classes, you're probably going to have to adhere to Chicago style or APA style. And samples of that are also in your Little Seagull Handbook. So keep this book with you for the rest of your college career, because I think it'll come in handy. And then finally, on page 333 to 337, some of you are still not using quotation marks correctly. And obviously when you cite somebody, you need to put it in quotes. So there's a section in the Little Seagull Handbook, page 333 to 337, that teaches you, where to put your colons and semicolons, where to put your commas and periods, where to put single quotation marks versus double quotation marks, etc. So use that as a resource as well. So I'm going to be looking that you have cited and integrated your source as well. Do have a works cited page, please, for the instructor draft that you turn in. Also, like I said, I want to hear your own voice in this instructor draft. So this investigative report should not be just what outside sources say. It should be your voice, your knowledge. You should have picked an issue that you know something about. So think of yourself as an expert too. Remember, quoting too many sources and not using your own voice is called patch writing. So I don't want to see that. It's okay to say I in this report. I will allow it. Other professors in other classes in your discipline may not allow that for a research report, but because this is a localized issue that's important to you and that you know something about, you can use I. That's fine. And finally, I want you to try and target this paper to a localized audience for your report. I'm noticing some of you are writing like, all Americans need to be aware of this. And in fact, in the sample thesis statement I gave you, I said parents in the United States. And that was a really broad audience. So I'd like you to try to write your paper for a very local audience, like Rhode Islanders or URI college students or people from your state or some group that you're a part of that you have an immediate and direct relationship with, because I think this will help you make your writing more targeted, more personal, and more interesting. So think about a localized audience. It may require you to change a few things in the draft that you turn in to me. So do that if you need to. Okay, so to recap what I just talked about, make sure that you're keeping track of your different drafts and so that you can show the progress from draft to draft in your ePortfolio, which is coming up in a month and a little bit. Know what modal selection you're making, whether you're writing this in in alphabetic text, or whether you're going to eventually maybe turn it into an audio report, a video report, or even just add graphics, pictures, or videos or sound to your report. Hey, Rick? Rick? Yeah. I'm recording and I'm afraid, I feel like everyone's getting background music going on here.
You what now?
I said I'm recording and there's like background music.
Oh, thought we were quiet enough.
Can you... Very musical family. Can you wait until I'm done?
Yep, I'm done.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. I'll join them in a little bit. We're playing for my cousin's wedding this weekend, so we're trying to practice. And it's weird, our son gets like scared usually when we play the harmonica for some reason, so we're trying to warm him up to it by playing it more. Anyway, okay, so show progress. Make sure you're thinking about the mode you're going to select to craft your final or compose your final project. Get your thesis really tight and strong. Make sure your sources are integrated well. Use your own voice and pick a localized audience to focus on for this instructor draft. So really be thinking about those things when you turn in your instructor draft on Sunday at 11. The assignment will open tomorrow at 11 a.m. and it's due Sunday by 11 p.m. So you've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You've got 4 days to make those changes and get me a really good draft. Don't forget the reviewer memo that goes along with the instructor draft. That reviewer memo is a Word document attached to the assignment. It's also available under Sakai Resources Reviewer Memos. And for next week, there's a video that you need to watch. It's like 20 minutes. It's really quick. And then a reading from the Heartbreak Guide about proposals. And again, these are pretty short, so please make sure you watch the video and read that section in the Heartbreak Guide. I don't make you read a lot. But there's a couple examples of what a proposal looks like, and I really want you to be thinking about, I want you to see those samples because we're going to talk about them in class next Tuesday, and I hate it when it's silent in class because either people are afraid to speak up or nobody's read, and that's frustrating. So be prepared to discuss it. I don't want any silence in the classroom next Tuesday. And next Tuesday, we will be talking about your Pachakacha proposal presentations, which is your project 4. It's a group presentation you guys are going to present in a multimedia format. You're going to use PowerPoint on steroids. It's basically, a Pachakacha is a particular type of presentation that originated in Japan. And it's kind of taking over the presentation scene right now. It's really cool. Students love doing it. For the most part, it's 20 slides, PowerPoint slides. Each one's 20 seconds, 20 seconds long. You have a timer on, so the PowerPoint runs behind you, and the slides go as you speak. So it does take some practice, plus you're doing this as a group, so it's going to take some group practice. I will leave you time for meeting outside of class. But start thinking about an issue that you want to propose a solution to in your local culture. And your whole group's going to have to focus on, try to think of one issue that's kind of pertinent to all of you and the students in the class, because your audience for this is going to be your classmates. So you have to think of an issue that maybe they'd be interested in. Okay, so just start thinking about that. I'm just giving you the heads up for the next and final project. And this is different because you're not going to have as many drafts or anything like that. This is an oral presentation, so it's a little different from what we've been doing. The mode you're going to be presenting this in is oral or spoken mode and video with PowerPoint slides and picture graphs and stuff like that behind you. So, okay, that's it. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the week, and I will see you next Tuesday. Email me, as always, if you have any complications, conflicts, or issues. And ciao.